Hi, I have an exciting topic for you today. Thank you for joining us. I am here with Syderia Asberry-Chresfield, who is the former president of the Mount Morris Park Community Improvement Association. And she was a pivotal key figure in helping the Mount Morris Park Association expand the landmark district. So Syderia, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Much appreciated.
So there's lots of conversation around landmarking and why it is important. And there's a lot of people who sometimes feel resistant to it. I know that area of Harlem is just so incredibly beautiful and has so much rich history. So could you please share with us what made you decide to move forward with this initiative, which I understand had been sort of sleeping for 40 years?
Yes, unfortunately it was. And it was really a no-brainer, because if you look at the buildings in the existing Mount Morris Park Historic District, a lot of the architects and the developers that were responsible for building those buildings within the existing district, they also built the buildings in the exterior. So there was no reason for it not to have been landmarked. And the fact that it was one of my priorities once I joined the Mount Morris Park Community Improvement Association is because of its rich history. So I wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to expand the district, which is something that the community had worked on, before I became president. But with a lot of people that worked really hard, we were able to push this forward.
So once an area is landmarked, and let's talk about what that means. A lot of people don't realize, like, once you buy a house, you can't really change the facade without landmarks approving it, right?
Absolutely. And it's so funny that we're saying that, because I am right in the middle of that now. So I'm actually having my facade redone. And yes, you do have to have it approved by landmarks. And that's a good thing, because at least you know that it's going to be restored to its original space, the way it was when it was originally built. And that's important, because if you're going to preserve the history, you have to get the history right. And landmarks will make sure that you actually do that.
So what are some of the challenges or opportunities you're facing as you renovate your facade?
Well, some people are alarmed by the cost of renovations, and I'm one of them. But I think it's also important to note that it's not landmarks that's increasing that cost. It's just the cost of doing business. So landmark doesn't designate who should do your work. They just want to make sure that your work is being done correctly. So that's what I'm in the middle of doing now, just having the right people make the right proposals. I'm happy to get that done, because it makes me thoroughly investigate the people that I am working with, but you also have a lot more pride in your building. So I'm really looking forward to starting the project.
That's great. Yes, you do have a beautiful, beautiful building. And your block was one of the blocks that was a little bit of a controversy and caused the landmarks to move forward, as a local developer had built a building that some considered was wildly out of context for a street that had historic churches, historic brownstones.
Actually, we have one of the oldest brownstones in the Mount Morris district on 123rd Street. And then directly across the street from that, you have a very new modern structure of steel and glass windows. So that was really out of context for the area.
I remember a lot of the conversations that were happening in the community as you were making this move forward. And there was some resistance as people realized that being landmarked does cost more money, as you pointed out, and you're doing this renovation. But by the same token, it's my understanding that once an area is landmarked, it also preserves some of that value.
It actually does preserve the value. And it's really telling when you're looking to purchase a brownstone, because if you go just right outside of the landmarked area, your house is devalued.
We have the Mount Morris Park extension here in Harlem, which does cover my listing 105 West 122nd Street. So I'm curious to know your thoughts on the benefits and challenges of landmarks.
There are a couple of things. Research shows that people who live in landmarked districts, the houses, hold their value longer throughout downturns and come back quicker.
And are worth more in general.
Yeah.
But this is just the data and the research shows that. So those who are thinking of their house as an investment in a landmark district should consider that. It's basically protected value.
It's a guarantee that your next door neighbor is not going to do something that's really going to affect your property value.
Yeah.
And that it's all a cohesive look. The village is popular not because of anything about the village per se, but it's preserved and it's cohesive and it's it hasn't been destroyed.
And it's amazing by the amount of money, but you can just go 2 blocks over and there's $1 million drop. So what's really wonderful is just to be in an area where there's character and, it attracts investment and it attracts tourists.
That's amazing. And it will survive if you're bringing on workers that know how to preserve your building correctly, because those brownstones, from what I understand, were really well built way back when.
Absolutely. My brownstone was built in 1895. And to look inside or outside, everyone is in awe as soon as they walk through the door. So talking about standing the test of time, just imagine another 100 years from now when you're surrounded by these tall skyscrapers. And here you have this little village in Harlem of just wonderfully preserved brownstones. I think that it's really going to be something to behold.
They are magnificent. And I remember when I was in a brownstone, we had a little plumbing issue and we had to get a plumber in with a snake to connect to the city plumbing in the street. And when the camera was sent down, the plumber called us and said, "You have to come here quickly." We thought, "Oh no, what's going on? This is horrible." And when we saw the camera, he called us because he wanted to point out just the amazing workmanship that the city had done. The bricks that were laid were all in a herringbone pattern. Over 100 years later, they were perfectly put together in the plumbing structure in the city street. It was just fascinating. I was like, wow, we don't see that care today.
No, you don't. The workmanship is just not there. And I think as far as like my preservation of my facade, that's one of the issues that I'm running into is finding the right people that are able to reconstruct the facade the way it was done back in those days. And I've been lucky enough that I did find someone, and there are plenty of people out there, but you're going to pay the price, unfortunately. But 100 years from now, it will still be there.
It will be. And it's sort of funny. I'm always torn a little bit. I am a real estate broker. I do make my money off of selling buildings. I'm known for selling new construction. And yet there's a part of me that just believes so deeply that we need to preserve the history of this really special neighborhood and preserve these buildings that are architecturally significant. So thank you for all your good work.
Yeah, what's really unfortunate is that it's not just the Mount Morris Park District. We have so many districts in Harlem that really need to be preserved and they need to be landmarked, just like they do in the West Village. And we just don't have enough of them landmarked. It's really sad, but it only makes me love my area that much more.
It gets more and more special every day, in my opinion. Maybe that's because I've been here now since 2004. And so I think the longer you're here, the more you love it.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Well, I don't want to take more of your time. I know you're busy now. You're working on the Greater Harlem Coalition. You are founder and president. Did I get that right?
I am one of the founders, and we don't have a president yet.
Okay. I got that. Still active in the community. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time and shedding some insights into why landmarks is so important.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.